Hey, so here is your lumbar flexion program. There's a bunch of different exercises. These come in no particular order, just different ways to get that lumbar spine to flex and to avoid extension. So anything doing a posterior pelvic tilt. So if your pelvis is naturally creating a little bit of an arch in your low back, you want to fire muscles that here and here reverse that curve, flattening here, tucking your tail under, holding your stomach muscles in. Any of those phrases are all saying the same thing, which is lumbar flexion or achieving lumbar neutral and getting into that posterior pelvic tilt. So on your hands and knees, you're gonna do your cat-cow, but you're simply gonna focus on this part, okay? You're not gonna do this. You're gonna start at neutral. You're gonna draw your belly button up towards your spine. You're gonna squeeze your glutes, and you're gonna really try to emphasize rounding here. Another way is to stretch, so lying on the ground, bringing your knees up towards your chest, just kind of drawing in. If you want in this position, you can do a little bit of, it's called a hold relax. So you're pulled up, but you're pushing your knees into your hands and your hands into your knees. So you're not actually moving, but you're just creating some resistance right here. So you can't really tell, but I'm pushing my knees away, right? And I'm not letting them go anywhere. After 6 to 10 seconds, you can relax and you're gonna find that you can bring your knees closer to your chest. Doing 3 rounds of those can be helpful. You can follow up by doing a reverse crunch, okay? So you're holding your stomach muscles in, you're drawing your belly button down, you're trying to uncurl starting with your tail. You're not necessarily jutting up or swinging your knees, but you're just trying to curl your spine up off the ground using only your stomach muscles and then uncurl, making sure that your low back stays flat. Okay, another way to open up some range of motion is what we call the third world squat. So in a deep squatting position, you can have your elbows on the inside of your knees here, but you're basically just thinking about letting your tail drop down to the ground. So you're just kind of hanging out in this position. Your feet can be flat on the ground. I'll give you a better visual here. They can be, maybe I won't give you a better visual here. Moving my camera. They can be either flat on the ground like this, or you can have your heels up, but you're just trying to let everything here kind of drop down and open up. And you're just spending a couple of minutes here just trying to push your knees out wide, but then also let everything here kind of flex. With your sit-ups, you're gonna start from the top down. So you're sitting up here. You're gonna think about just that action, okay? So you're just dropping into a posterior pelvic tilt, starting to maybe get your upper sacrum and lower back onto the ground without poofing your stomach. So you've gotta stay hollowed out here, and you're just doing that top range. So really looking down at your stomach, with your eyes and with your chin physically down as well. Really feeling like you're just staying nice and hollow and drawn in there. And then eventually, as you start to loosen up, you're gonna be able to get a little bit farther back and still be able to come up without ever losing that kind of belly in. You can do hip bridges. So same thing, just opposite direction, holding your stomach muscles in, squeezing your glutes, starting to uncurl from the bottom up, and then uncurl from the top down. So I'm not so much worried about you going all the way up, right? Because that's when you start to get some extension. You're just doing kind of the bottom portion or starting portion of that hip bridge. Again, trying to use stomach muscles and abs as much as you can, not hamstrings and low back muscles. If you have a sacral support ball, you're gonna put that underneath your sacrum and you're gonna err on the side of low with this. So if I'm too high, I don't know if you can see, but if I'm too high, I'm gonna maybe get a little bit of that action where my pelvis drops forward. So I'm gonna move it almost to my tailbone. If it's too low, obviously you're gonna be off the ball and you're not gonna get anything out of it. but depending on the diameter of your ball, if you get it just towards the bottom of your sacrum, from there, after hanging out here for a couple minutes, you can again start to do just a little bit of a belly in, kind of posterior pelvic tilt, just really feeling like you're trying to get each individual vertebra moving. And then you can hold in that position. You can just kind of relax. If you want, you can bring your knees up, and again, trying to get that knee to chest movement without letting any space in between your low back and the ground. Another way is foam roller underneath your hips, making sure that the foam roller isn't going to slide out from underneath you. And so knees up towards your chest. This just gives you, especially if you hold on to the foam roller so that it doesn't slide out, this gives you a little bit of a leverage point, right? So I'm just kind of using the foam roller to block my hips as my low back goes down, and also again using stomach muscles to draw in. Right now I feel a very specific stretch kind of in between that bump in my low back and the actual low back muscles. And this is a time-based thing. You could just kind of hang out. Feels kind of nice to just balance and feel like you're getting that stretch in there. And then as with any stretch, you want to try to draw in and engage some muscles so that your body learns how to be there. So, last one is a little bit optional. It's a little bit more advanced, just because you can put a little bit of pressure into your low back as you're doing this, but you're gonna do the top, or I should say bottom part of a forward fold. So you're rounded here and you're trying to almost do a cat-cow as you're bent over. So you may feel some stretching in your hamstrings. With this, you're trying to see if you can engage your glutes in order, I'll show you up here, in order to do that motion. But since you're so low, you're getting a little bit of opening in your low back, and then you're just uncurling and then drop back down, and then squeeze the glutes, uncurl, and then drop back down. So what this is not is standing up, right? You can kind of see I just extended. I'm not getting anything out of that because I'm using my spinal extensors to come up. So what I want to do is almost let my head hang and let my torso be the counterbalance as I just squeeze my glutes to think about pulling down at the bottom portion of my low back as opposed to up from the top portion of my low back. Again, that last one's a little bit optional, a little bit more advanced, but if it feels good, it's certainly a good exercise to do. See how these work for you.